transition to...
What do you got?
Let's do some Vikes Bites. And I got some coordinator corner style audio.
Vikes Bites.
I have the game calling depth chart for the Vikings and Rams from Week 8.
Oh, you do?
Looking back at it, just some things that, like, do you remember? And I might have put this in the final call. With a win, Sean McVay becomes the winningest coach in the history of Rams football, with 80 wins, passing John Robinson. So we were on the wrong side of McVay becoming the winningest coach in the history of a team.
Yeah, historical consequences.
Kyron Williams had 25 scrimmage touchdowns in the last 2 seasons, most in the National Football League. Their kicker, something called Ethan Evans. Oh, that's the punter, but he kicks off. At that point, 29 kicks, 29 touchbacks. Tyler Johnson. Minneapolis North High School, go crazy. Number 1 Gophers all-time leader in receiving yards and 100-yard games. A Ron thinks we put the wrong first name on the game-calling depth chart under Johnson. It should be Ron, not Tyler. Okay, Ron, we're just kidding. We love you. Big smile, please. Cooper Kupp had been out 4 consecutive with an ankle injury, and he's only played every game 2 times in his career. And then you get to Puka Nakua. Damn, this is going to be a cool game. Question is, where's it going to be? Hey,
absolutely. This is Vikes Bites. Over the next couple of segments with some coordinator audio. Vikes Bites is brought to you by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef. You can shop online. A box of meat shows up at your doorstep. Local Coburn's locations as well, local co-ops. And Clearwater, Minnesota company, they're all about local. They support Gophers athletics. Brian Flores addressing the media yesterday. Here he is talking about being pleased to be mentioned among NFL head coaching opportunities.
Anytime you're mentioned in these kind of head coaching conversations or receiving requests, or it's an honor. Certainly that. Definitely don't take that lightly. And look, I look forward to having those conversations, talking to people about my football journey, my leadership journey.
Yeah, indeed. And he says, anybody that calls, he's open to taking any interview.
I plan on taking them all. I plan on, sitting down and having conversations with any team that's interested in talking to me about that position. I look forward to talking to people about, my football journey. And when that time comes, I'll do that. But, again, I don't think I'm even allowed to talk to anyone until next week. So really the focus is kind of the Rams.
And then finally, on the coaching front at least, those Patriots, though, they got an opening.
Look, we're talking about going home or where it all started. I think that's a place that's got definitely a special place, in when I talk about my football journey, that's where it started. So I would say yes. But, at the same time, it's not up to me as to whether or not they would want to talk to me or anything like that. So that's kind of my thought on that.
Yeah, your thoughts on the coaching situation. You kind of had mentioned it. I believe that is the rule indeed. After divisional or into divisional week, et cetera, he's got to wait some time before he can physically speak to anybody.
Yep.
There are other teams. The Bears are already getting after it. They've already been shut down by the Cowboys. How about the Cowboys protecting McCarthy, by the way?
When you saw that headline, did it not make you chuckle?
I kind of laughed a little bit.
Yeah, so did I. I'm like, are you kidding me?
But they are going after Pete Carroll, apparently, the Bears are. Joe Brady, that's Buffalo Bills OC.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Vrabel is in the mix. How about Drew Petzing, former Vikings assistant? It sounds like that's going to be his first head coaching opportunity and interview. The OC for the Cards and Mr. Gannon down there in AZ.
What if Stefanski has a limb? It's for Drew to be involved in this, as I shared in passing yesterday. Kevin Warren, the team president for the Bears, remembers Drew here.
Yeah.
Drew, I believe it's from Middlebury College. He's a whiz. He's a mathematician. He is a very even-keeled and calm individual. But he's very, very smart. And I said it during the year last year, I think mostly when arguing the difference between fantasy and reality with Paul Charchian would transpire at a Buffalo Wild Wings near you. Is like he'd look at Kyler Murray's numbers and be like, and I'd be like, well, actually, he's having the best season of his career, and here's why. And Drew had a lot to do with that. The calm of working with Kyler Murray and the fact that Kevin remembers him from here and just how impressive he is, I think has landed him a head coaching job. I'm not going to make him favored to win it. I'd make Mike Vrabel the prohibitive, potentially soon to come off the board favorite to win the head coaching job for the New England Patriots. And, good for Brian Flores, who did not get a sniff last year when it comes to head coaching opportunities, even though he's been a head coach in the NFL before and did a pretty good job. And his defense, even last year, opened eyes at times. There are just a couple of things working against Brian. One, he's a defensive-minded head coach. They just don't get hired that much anymore. Defense-first head coaches. The last one who was like that to get hired was Gerard Mayo, and he lasted one season.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's because Bobby...
even Antonio Pierce in Las Vegas, I guess both of them one and done.
Great point.
He had the interim bid. Pierce did in Vegas, but it didn't work.
And so therefore, with Flores, you got that in that, people, you got O'Connell, LaFleur, McVay, next level Shanny, so on and so on. Mike McDaniel for the Dolphins. They are offensive-minded coaches, and those are the ones getting hired. Secondly, Brian and others, Brian et al., are suing the National Football League, and there might be multiple suits. So, I mean, it's unfair to say. In fact, it's basically saying the race is fixed. To say, okay, well, the owner of the McCaskey family. All right, so you're going to hire Brian Flores, and then you got to tell Roger Goodell, who's being sued by Brian Flores. It's just a weird situation.
It is.
I don't think it play. I'd like to say go ahead and hire him and expect 75% of the penalties in every game to go against you the rest of your life. But I'm telling you right now, that stuff's real. Some of that stuff's real. Like after the New England Patriots won a Super Bowl and Matt Patricia had been hired as head coach of the Detroit Lions, he got off the team plane, landing in Massachusetts, in Boston.
Oh, with the shirt.
Opened up his suit coat, and he has a picture of Roger Goodell with a clown nose. All right? Well, within his first handful of games, if you just go back and look at them, there was a nationally televised game, it might have been Monday Night Football, where there were the most obvious things in the world that just weren't going the way of the old kiddies.
No.
And Patricia just couldn't get him to go his way.
He may have also just been a bad coach too.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt.
There's a combo.
I'm saying what I'm saying is I can't prove it, and I don't even like saying it because it's casting an aspersion with really something I can't prove. But on the other side, I would need somebody to disprove it for me.
Well, I also think you would be denying humanity if you didn't think that these things played.
Thank you.
An inevitable part of any conversation or process.
Perfect segue. I mean, ideal 10 of 10, having no idea where my third point was going to go. Well, if Brian is being interviewed by the Bears and or other teams because he's black and they are servicing the Rooney Rule, shame on you. And I've debated that with white and black people in the past before because it does happen. The spirit of the Rooney Rule was originated to give people an opportunity to get jobs.
Yep.
All right. So I'll just never forget, man. Into the 2007 season, where it doesn't matter who told it to me, but so Mike Tomlin's going to go interview with the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, and I had some people say to me that basically he has no shot. It's a satisfaction of the Rooney Rule, which really is the first time that I had heard that, and I'm kind of like, wow, that's awful. I mean, I'm not going to say that happens, no, but that's awful.
Sure.
Well, Tomlin went back there supposedly with no shot and won the job. He won the job.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the Rooneys brought him back being like you're favored to win the job. He went in there and killed everybody with his interview. And here we are. 18 years later, he has a ring and he's still the coach of the team. So, whether it's the spirit of the Rooney Rule or the obligation to interview X amount of minorities or blacks or whatever, it's some people wag their finger at it and they're like, just how obviously one-sided, duplicitous, and egregious it is. I'm actually on the other side, simply because it's like, I don't care how I get into that race, how I get into that winner's circle. I'm going to go Mike Tomlin on it. So if they brought me in here for whatever the reason and they have an agenda, okay, it's my job to win. And it gives people opportunity to win. Just ask Mike Tomlin.
One more from Flores, and then we got a break. Here he is back on the football side of things, specifically with the Vikings. They were caught off guard when Puka played.
We had seen a little bit of him from the previous year, but not much this year. So there was a little bit of scrambling too. So as he was involved early, we know he's going to be out there now. This time out, we'll do a better job, or I'll do a better job of making sure our guys are prepared from that standpoint.
Maybe I shouldn't be shocked by this at all, but both Kevin O'Connell yesterday with you, and then he kind of transitioned to the idea now it's the playoffs, everyone's hands have been dealt, everyone's cards have been dealt face up. Mm-hmm. But both him and Flores were very on the forefront about this. Like, we had no freaking idea that Puka was going to play. We had a vibe with Cooper being in the mix, but Puka rolls off the IR and they open up the practice window and he's playing that day.
Yeah.
And we did not, and there's some admission and maybe some humility there that, we weren't exactly ready for that. And we had to scramble in the defensive coordinator's words. No mysteries this time around, right?
No. And I mean, whether chicanery was involved or not with Nakua, when you open a player's practice window, well, that means the window previously was closed.
Right.
Which means there was no practice. I just must have been running around, the beaches of Southern California, catching passes and going against defensive formations or running routes that are a route tree that's ever changing on a weekly basis because McVay's that good. Yeah. Just must have been that. Just must have been that. But he played well. You know what? If last year in Jefferson, team was different, Kirk was healthy and everything, and on a short week in a big game, specifically think about the personal matchups between McVay and Kevin O'Connell. Yeah. And that hamstring's good. JJ doesn't need to go through 2 weeks of practice to get. We'd be lauding Kevin O'Connell that he pulled the gotcha on his old ball coach, bringing JJ back from the hamstring on a dime, goes for 10 and 150 and a score. Oh, the Rams did nothing wrong. No, I don't think the percentage of a player having his practice window open the day of a game and playing the whole game. Very small. It's extremely minuscule and small if it's even ever happened before. But, there's some envelope pushing in this National Football League, and the Rams are about as good as anybody at doing it. We got a former Ram on our staff. He'll push the envelope a little bit with certain things during games. And we love our coach. They love their coach. They love Puka. We don't love Puka. And one of the better ways to beat him on Monday night would be what? Whoop-em bang ginkle style. Whoop-em bang ginkle style. All right, we'll be right back.
Vikes Bites.
Vikes Bites, take 2, 9 to noon. Thank you, Thousand Hills. Wes Phillips also addressed the media, Vikings offensive coordinator. You heard a bit of B-flow last segment from the defense to the offense. I think this kind of fits with what we were talking about earlier, maybe a KO conflict of sorts, but take it away, Wes Phillips and members of the assembled media.
What types of problems do Jared Verse and Braden Fisk present up front?
Two really good young players, pass rush, physical in the run game. Fisk had some good plays against us where, going into it, I think he'd been banged up a little bit and really felt like that game. And then you kind of watch some of the tapes since our game is maybe kind of his coming out party where he really started to cause some problems inside. We had some good movement on some combinations initially on him, and his ability to kind of get grounded and shed guys and get in on some tackles. Was pretty impressed by him the first go around, and obviously Verse, his ability to affect the quarterback. But again, I kind of have a little more just respect as a coach sometimes against a guy like that who's got a lot of pass rush, but in the run game, as far as setting edges and just being really physical on the edge, he's a really good young player. I think across the board, they have a really good young nucleus of players. The safeties, They've got a couple corners that have played a lot of ball, but the young safeties they have, that front, the way they've used Michael Hoyt, 97, is a big, tough, physical player who was there when I was there, and the way they've used him to kind of in some different packages, kind of off the ball, on the ball, off the ball, different places, has been really creative. So they create some problems. They got a good young team.
Thank you to Wes Phillips, but that I do kind of want to bring that back to, not to make this too thematic, but the KO conflict from earlier, PA, is the focus on what the Minnesota Moving Company did or did not do effectively, the offensive line Sunday night against those Lions. And this young athletic front, I think that is more talented than what we saw from the Lions.
Agreed.
And how that combo works. And you mentioned the KO conflict. I'm curious whether is it stubborn to do what you've done so well throughout the year? Is it the adjustment to tight end chipping or big fullback in the mix? Is it an overreaction because of what you saw? I mean, it's the KO conflict into Sunday and how they handle those names that you heard the OC flipping out there. Very talented team, and we got to keep Sam upright.
Yeah, I can't comment on the KO conflict until seeing the game and seeing how it was handled. And to see what he does with personnel, because again, submitting and hoisting the white flag that you have something I can't stop. Head coaches just aren't big on that. They try to work around it different ways.
Yep.
But it's Wes. Wes mentioned Braden Fisk and Jared Verse. Yeah, Byron Young in his second year from Tennessee. Michael Hoyt, completely agree with what he's talking about. My man played football at Brown, but like when you see him, it's like, holy cow, wow, where'd you come from? Alabama or Tennessee or Clemson or whatever? He's a very impressive looking guy. But the best player on their defense is Kobe Turner, and he wears 91. Into our game, he had 3 sacks. He had 9 last year. Second year from Wake Forest, 3rd round pick in 2023, stole one. They did, and props to Les Snead. Les, the man who runs the Rams, really got under my skin. I don't care if you play fantasy football. I don't care if you trade all your picks. You trade for Stafford, shortchange Goff, bring in all these Jalen Ramsey mercenaries. I couldn't care less what you do with your team. But then after winning the Super Bowl, they're at the big party downtown Los Angeles, and he basically is like, F all of you. What do you think of not having those draft picks now? I'm like, well, that's a really, really cool thing to say by a person in charge, a person of authority. But nevertheless, he's drafted after that, and wow, holy cow! When they have picks, hey, go ahead and trade him again. I mean, Quentin Lake, 3rd year from UCLA. His father, Carnell Lake, was on the 90s All-Decade team, mostly for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cam Curl, 5th year from Washington. He was an unrestricted free agent. So when Wes said they got some experience on the backside, Cam Curl's played a lot of games. Akello Witherspoon has played a lot of games. But Kobe Turner is in his 2nd year. Fisk and Verse are rookies.
Yeah.
Christian Roseboom's in his 4th year. Byron Young's in his 2nd year. I mean, they're doing a great job with their drafting, man. Ain't no doubt about that.
Well, the key, Sam was terrific, 240 and 2, high completion percentage. The issue with this, an issue we saw earlier in the season, hopefully it doesn't come to fruition Monday night, not enough plays. Only 50 plays on offense, 66 for the Rams.
Yeah.
And that defensive front.
That's right.
How we can kind of extend some drives and things like that.
Yep.
That cat and mouse game, that changing that we know bit has never been more vital for Mr. O'Connell and Mr. Phillips.
Best way to win this game? Whoop 'em Van Ginkle style. Don't leave. We think you'll like it when we return to KFAN.
I can't wait until tomorrow. 'Cause tomorrow might very well be too late.
Mad producer, Big Daddy Khan, put together a parody involving Andrew Van Ginkle. Fija, Fairness and Jeremiah Forrester Act, friend of mine, was an idea of his about a month ago. Gave it to me. I gave it to Nordo because I know what Nordo's capable of. And then we started thinking about the Rams game, and we were like, what's the best way to win? Well, it's this. The Gink! The is on fire.
It's Van Ginkel style. Van Ginkel style.
Oh, he threw it to Van Ginkel. Touchdown! That's the 4th touchdown in Andrew Van Ginkel's career. And he read Daniel Jones like a book. They blitz Rodgers, and they pay for it. Picked off by Van Ginkel. Near side to the 50. On the sideline, 40. And it's loose. Touchdown!
43, though, putting on a show they didn't know. Now they know. Ruining their flow. A sack or bad throw. Every play. Every day. Driving quarterbacks absolutely insane. It's Van Ginkel style. Van Ginkel style.
Here's Van Ginkel.
It's Van Ginkel style.
Andrew Van Ginkel.
Van Ginkel style.
Andrew Van Ginkel.
It's Van Ginkel style.
Andrew Van Ginkel.
It's Van Ginkel style.
Andrew Van Ginkel.
It's Van Ginkel style.
That's beautiful.
Oh, fat producer's getting tired moving in here in that side studio.
The Van Ginkel style.
Van Ginkel style.
Whoop 'em baby style. All right, we'll try to whoop 'em baby style tomorrow with Ben Lieber joining at 10 o'clock. Finchy out of the gate is a probability. And Rams, Vox, JB Long joins 9 to noon tomorrow. Plus, maybe former Viking and former Ram John Sullivan joining 9 to noon. And by the way, in closing, this Sunday, about 3:30 Central, go Pack Go.
You can't talk that way and be taken seriously.
Bye.
Surviving.
You homer. Oh, good.
Ain't we lucky we got 'em?
If it's good news or money, leave a message.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.